This episode of Juan's World is brought to you by Bug Spray, because the bugs won't want to come near you, and neither will anyone else. Alright, well, I just want to start off this podcast, episode number 2 of Juan's World, by thanking everyone for listening to my first one. I'm at about 95 views right now. I haven't really checked the statistics of if they're full-length views. I'm at 7 subscribers right now, and what is it, like 2 likes, 1 dislike? Yeah, so I'm at 50% on the likes, which, if you're thinking about it, that's not too shabby. So anyway, I wanted to give it a little bit more time until my next analyzation of No Country for Old Men, just because I want to prepare for it a little bit more. I really haven't been able to a lot lately because I've had some stuff going on. This weekend I was at a Bruno Mars concert in Denver, performing Boys to Men, and let me tell you, I was in cries when I heard One Sweet Day. That's my favorite Boys to Men song of all time. Probably one of the best songs of all time. If I had to put it down to it, I'd say the greatest song of all time is probably Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong or Stand By Me by Benny King. No particular reason, I just think they're really good songs. But anyway, it's been nice with school lately because we recently just moved to a 4-day week, so we're getting out at 3:45 every day. We go to school at 7:30, and it's been really nice getting those Fridays off. It feels like the week just flies by, especially with the fact it's a junior year. The classes aren't too hard because I'm lazy and I didn't want to take hard classes. And before I move on real quick, I just want to ask a certain someone to homecoming. So Catherine Fox, would you go to homecoming with me? And she'll probably say yes because we already planned on going. We've been dating for 2 years, so hopefully she'll say yes. So with this episode, I just kind of wanted to jump into my stages of the writing process and how I've developed as a writer and my different takes and the different things I've done to prepare for my different projects that I've taken part in. So I've written 2 books so far. One of them is still in the editing process, which is terrible, and I'll get to that later. I currently have 1 book published, which is Scarred Hearts and Shattered Memories. It was okay. It was pretty short at 25,000 words, I believe, which is about half the length of a normal book, and even then, 50,000 is somewhat of a short book. It's more of a young adult length. It's about average. So with Scarred Hearts and Shattered Memories, the idea for the book really came to me in one afternoon, just taking a shower. I had music playing and 2 songs inspired me through that, and that was Whiskey Lullaby by Brad Paisley and Spotless Mind by Dayseeker. Dayseeker's song, Spotless Mind, was actually based on Jim Carrey, Clementine of a Spotless Mind, I think. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, I'm sorry. And I still hadn't even seen the movie up to that point. My book is about 2 people who are running away from their past, and you don't really get a glimpse into what that is. And by the way, if you haven't read the book, I really encourage you to do so. It's for free on my website, wansaucewriting.wordpress.com. I'm trying to save up to get the .wordpress off, but I've had a very busy couple of weeks, and I have not been able to get the money because I can't really work. I'm playing football, and the money I do have, I'm always doing stuff, or I'm always hungry because I'm a little fat. The book is free on my website, so please go check it out. I was in the shower one day, and those 2 songs came up back to back, and it just gave me an idea. So I went downstairs, and I could not for the life of me find my computer to write it. So instead of using my computer, I went into a notebook I had. It was a 5-subject green notebook, and I just started writing. I got 10 pages done in one night, something I still don't even know how I did. All by hand, and I was up till I think 1 o'clock in the morning on a school night, which I'm sure I regretted it the next day, but it laid a solid foundation for what I thought was just going to be like a short story. I didn't expect anything more, but I just kept writing. I rarely told anyone about the project, and it led into what it was. It took me... Okay, so the way I broke down the book, it was in like 3 different... it's been a while since I've even looked at it, but it's in 3 different parts. So the first 2 parts I got through pretty quickly. But then that last part, I couldn't think of what to do. I ended up taking like a month off just to think about it, and it would, to me, it wasn't even the thought of a book. I just thought, oh, I can write. Like, this is something I've always known I'd been able to do. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm gifted towards it. I just feel like I'm very good at writing down stories. So eventually, I started writing it again, and the ending. If you have not read the book, please, I encourage you to do so before I tell you this, because it'll kind of ruin the whole book. The whole thing, the first part is really the last part, and that's something I don't tell you. You just have to infer it. But the first part is the last part, and the first part, they both end up in accidents, and they both end up what you think is in the hospital, because in the second part they're in a hospital, but it really is that they die in those accidents. It's more of an inference, because I don't necessarily say anything about what happens after they get into these accidents. You think I do, but I really don't. So that's what the whole book is about. It's really just the building to what I thought was an amazing ending. And I look at that book as a first try. It was the first time I'd ever written anything, that big. And I wrote it all in a notebook. I wrote 25,000 words in a notebook, which, jeez, I don't even know how I did that to this day. I've tried, and I get tired after like 4 pages of writing. It's pretty ridiculous. I don't know why I decided to do that to myself. There's definitely mistakes in that book that I missed. I edited the whole thing in like 3 nights. Looking back on that, that was a huge mistake, and we live and we learn. It really opened my eyes to what happens when you neglect the editing stages of a book, and I think I definitely did that with this. So, we all learn, and I definitely took that into consideration as I continued writing and as I continued making projects. Just always remember, what you're putting out is what the world sees. It's your final product. That's the end. That's the finish line. Once you put that out to the world, you can't change it anymore. And we're seeing that a lot through social media and all these things, that once you put this thing out into the world, it's there forever. That goes for anything. James Gunn knows a little too well about that. He's definitely one of my favorite directors of this time. Scooby-Doo movie. Ever heard of it? I'm just kidding. That movie was okay. The CGI was really weird, though. Like, even when I was like 5 watching that movie, I thought so. And it was like this weird mix, because he wanted to do a 60s like sex comedy, Revenge of the Nerds style almost. But the studio didn't allow that, of course, because it's Scooby-Doo. It's a kids franchise. And so it ended up becoming this weird blend of whatever it was. And yeah, I don't know. That movie was weird. The guy who played Shaggy, though, I think he did a really good interpretation. Scrappy is the villain. Jeez, that movie was weird. Now that I think about it, when they're on the back of the ATVs, and Scooby looks back and sees the girl with their face all mangled. Gee, that's just what goes through my head. God, did he direct Scooby-Doo too? God, what happened in that one? I don't remember it well. I'll have to go on a Scooby-Doo movie binge. But I don't even know if he directed that one. I'm not going to watch a Scooby-Doo movie unless it's by a quality director. Then there was the Flintstones movie. That was weird. I mean, Moranis and John Goodman. There we go. That's not bad. That could have been a good comedy duo. The Big Lebowski, he wasn't really that funny in that one, though. It was more of like a serious, sort of ironic play on it. He was definitely good in 10 Cloverfield Lane. That movie was great. And Monsters, Inc., he was good. What else was he in recently? I'm trying to think. I know there was one movie recently that I really liked that he was in. Let's see. Not Jeff Goldblum. Why did I look up Jeff Goldblum? John Goodman. Alright. I don't know why I got those confused. That's a really weird mix-up. Let's see. Argo, Flight. He's in The Incredibles, a video game. Roseanne. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, he's like one of the main characters in Roseanne. Kong. Voice in Transformers. I didn't realize how much he was actually in. Paranorman, SpongeBob, The Campaign. I forgot about that movie with Zach Galifianakis and Will Ferrell. It's not a bad comedy. B movie? It was in B movie. Leighton T. Montgomery? What? Was he a main character? I don't remember. Dang, Kathy Bates was in that movie? Larry King was B. Larry King. Ray Liotta? Oh my god. This might be one of the best voice actor ensembles of all time. Oprah Winfrey? Sting? Tom Papa? Jim Cummings? I should just have an episode of the podcast where I just talk about the B movie. Maybe that could be the whole podcast. It's just me talking about the B movie. It got a weird cult following for a while. Kind of like Shrek did, but I don't think it's as good as Shrek. That movie is legitimately good. Like, the CGI is a little iffy today just because textures and things weren't really the same. They're updated a lot. Dang, let's look at some other DreamWorks movies. There's Flushed Away. Oh, I forgot about this movie. Hugh Jackman was the main character and Kate Winslet. Ian McKellen. Andy Serkis. Dang. I remember I had the Flushed Away video game for my Game Boy. And when I was little, I would only buy movie merchandise games. So I really only played crappy video games as a child. That's why I'm not good at video games now, is because I never had coordination practice when I was little. Because all I played was bad movie games, like Iron Man the movie game. I remember I had that on like 2 different systems. I had all the Spider-Man games. I got into WWE for a while, so I had most of those. And those were good up until like 2007 or 8. Because after that, they stopped adding all the cool matches you could do. I remember there was one in like 2006 on my PSP where you could play the nail matches. But anyway, so Flushed Away, that's another good one. Robots, I remember watching that. Over the Hedge, Open Season, Shark Tales, Chicken Run, The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. But anyway, yeah, so back to editing. So the editing process is extremely important, and I didn't realize that until hindsight kicked in for my first book. And so when it's come around to editing my second book, I've been very cautious. You might call it lazy or procrastinating, but I've only edited about 110 pages first draft, not even second draft content-wise, just grammatically, in about 3 months. And I told myself, I'll have it done by August. I'll have all this done, you know. I'll be in my second draft phase by the time I hit September. It'll all be good, but nope. I still got about 130 more pages to go of editing. And so I've been procrastinating that lately, but I finally gotten to it and gotten to a rhythm of doing it, because the way I see it is if you can do something 2 days in a row, then you can keep doing it. 2 days is good. The first day you do it, it doesn't even count, because, you know, it could be a one-off thing that you just felt like doing. But if you do something twice in a row, then that means you can do it. You're like, okay, I got a rhythm going, I can do this. But with the second book, I definitely feel like it's gonna be a lot better. I want to do everything I can to make it that. And the fact that I'm probably gonna self-publish this one again, I definitely want to make it right, because I don't want to make it look self-published, because I haven't read a lot of self-published books, but I guarantee that's one of the number one things that happens is they don't look professional. You can go through a publisher and all that and make it look professional, but I don't see any reason to go through a publisher. If they can give me $5,000 on a advance, then I can do whatever it takes to get that $5,000 plus more through the book. And I feel like it's the challenge that I really want to take on is trying to find my own way through it. The podcast, it'll open up a lot of opportunity for me to do other things and vice versa. Then I want to get into public speaking. I could do good with public speaking. I feel like I do have a message. The quality of what I'm doing might be arguable, but the fact that I'm doing it, I think, counts for something. I am working my hardest to make these things the best I can, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep myself going, no matter what. And I'm working on a lot of things right now, so I just got to keep trucking along, but I definitely think I have a message in that, and I can speak to young people. Yeah, public speaking, just writing, TV shows, movies, books, comic books. I'll do whatever it takes. I just enjoy writing. I just want to tell stories. I want people to have fun with the stories, and my one goal in life is to make someone cry with a story. I feel like if I can make someone cry, then that's a good storyteller. But then again, there's guys who like Tarantino who don't have to make you cry because you're just sucked in. There's a lot of good filmmakers who don't need that, but I think it would be a cool thing. I don't know why. I also do some poetry, songwriting. I want to get into directing. I think directing would be kind of fun. I want to be like a cool director. Like in Talladega Nights when Will Ferrell's talking about, he just quit the race, and so he's like, hey, I want to be like a crack dealer, but I want to be like a nice crack dealer, like, hey, you want some crack? I want to be that kind of director, just be like, hey, want to act? You want to say this line instead, or do it this way? I don't know. I feel like I'll go two ways. I'll be like too cool, and it'll just suck, or I'll be like Stanley Kubrick, do everything 1,000 times because I'm not content with it. The second way would make a better movie or TV show or whatever it is I'm directing, so I'd prefer if I went the second way, but you never know. Things happen. Maybe I could be like a mix of both. That'd be nice, just a mix. Just like a really good director who's like cool. Like he'll take you for pizza, but he'll make you like do a lot of work on the side. Not on the side, that sounded wrong. That'll be it for this episode of Juan's World. I hope you guys had some fun just listening to my voice. A little bit more of a chill podcast, this one. Didn't really get into many topical things, but probably do a couple episodes like this every once in a while, It's nice to get the brain juices out. Alright, well, thank you for listening. If you've gotten this far, I really appreciate it. And goodbye.